Tovik had watched many species fight. In his 40 years as an intelligence officer for the Halari Dominion, he had studied the war tactics of over 60 different races. He had seen the brutal charges of the Morvith. He had witnessed the cold precision of the Ven Collective. He thought he understood violence. Then he watched humans fight. For the first time, the footage played on his screen for the 100th time. It showed the border skirmish of Kepler Station from 3 months ago. A small human unit, maybe 30 soldiers, had held a supply depot against 200 raiders. The battle lasted 6 hours. The humans lost 4 soldiers. The raiders lost everyone. Tovik paused the video on a frame that haunted his sleep. A human female, young by their standards, had taken a plasma round directly to her shoulder. The wound was severe. Her arm hung loose, burned and bleeding. Any Halari soldier would have fallen. Any Morvith would have retreated. This human had laughed. She had actually laughed, switched her weapon to her other hand, and kept shooting. "What are you?" Tovik whispered to the frozen image. His assistant entered the room. "Ambassador, the human convoy is approaching the checkpoint. You requested to observe." Tovik closed the footage and stood. "Yes. I want to see them in person." The observation post sat on a hill overlooking the main, Rotavareth 6. This mining world had recently joined the Galactic Union, and humans had sent a diplomatic team to establish trade relations. Tovik's job was simple: watch and report. The convoy appeared on the horizon. 4 armored vehicles moved in tight formation. Human soldiers walked alongside them, their weapons ready but not raised. Tovik studied them through his viewing scope. They were not impressive to look at. Humans were smaller than Halari, weaker than Morvith, slower than the Ven. Their bodies had no natural armor, no claws, no poison. By every measure, they should have been a minor species, barely worth noticing. But Tovik noticed the way they moved. Every step was purposeful. Every head turn was calculated. They watched the hills, the rocks, the sky. They watched everything. A young officer led the formation. His uniform identified him as Lieutenant Tae-woo of the Korean United Forces. He walked at the front of his soldiers, exposed to any potential threat. Tovik found this strange. Halari officers commanded from protected positions. This human chose to share the danger with his troops. Sergeant Daeho Tae-woo called out. Movement on the eastern ridge. An older soldier with gray in his hair raised his scope. Confirmed. 8 contacts. They're trying to hide behind the rocks. Raiders, a female soldier asked. Her name tag read Subin.
Probably.
This road is known for ambushes. Tae-woo's voice remained calm. Everyone, stay loose. Let them make the first move. Tovik's hearts beat faster. He should warn them. He should send a signal. But his orders were clear. Observe only. Do not interfere. The attack came suddenly. Energy blasts rained down from the ridge as 20 raiders emerged from hiding. They screamed battle cries and charged toward the convoy. What happened next changed everything. Tovik believed about warfare. The humans did not panic. They did not scatter or seek cover like logical soldiers would. Instead, they moved toward the attack. Lieutenant Tae-woo shouted a single word. His soldiers flowed like water around the vehicles, forming a firing line. The sound of human weapons filled the valley. Their rifles cracked in sharp, angry bursts. Raiders fell one after another. But the raiders had numbers, and some reached close range. Tovik watched a raider swing a blade at Sergeant Daeho. The old soldier caught the blade on his armored forearm, pulled the raider close, and broke his neck with his bare hands. No hesitation. No mercy. Private Subin took a plasma round to her side. The blast burned through her armor and scorched her flesh. She stumbled, looked down at the wound, and grinned. That's going to leave a mark, she said, then shot 3 more raiders before falling to one knee. Lieutenant Tae-woo reached her position. Subin's status? I'm fine, sir. Just a scratch. It's not a scratch. That's a hole. I've had worse from training exercises. She was not joking. Tovik could see it in her eyes. She genuinely considered this wound minor. The battle ended in 4 minutes. 20 raiders had attacked. None survived. The humans had 2 wounded, neither critically. They treated their injuries with casual efficiency, like they were fixing broken equipment rather than damaged bodies. Taewoo walked among his soldiers, checking each one personally. When he reached Subin, he put a hand on her good shoulder. "Good work. Medical transport is coming." "Sir, I can still walk." "I know you can. But you don't have to prove anything." She smiled at him. There was blood on her teeth. "I'm not proving anything. I just hate sitting still." Tovik watched them load the wounded into vehicles. He watched the unwounded soldiers joke and laugh as they cleaned their weapons. He watched Lieutenant Taewoo stand alone for a moment, looking at the bodies of the raiders with something like sadness in his eyes. These were not monsters. They were not machines. They were people who had simply learned to push past limits that other species could not imagine. And these were their regular soldiers. Their basic infantry. Their standard troops. Tovik returned to his quarters and began writing his report. His hands trembled as he typed. Classification. Highest priority. Subject: Human Military Capabilities Assessment. He paused, searching for the right words. The soldiers observed today were identified as regular infantry. Repeat, regular infantry. They displayed pain tolerance, aggression levels, and tactical coordination far beyond any species in Union records. Their wounded continued fighting with injuries that would incapacitate Halari's soldiers. Their morale remained high even during direct engagement. He stopped again. The cursor blinked. Recommendation: if these are their regulars, I strongly advise we never discover what their elites are capable of. Further investigation is not recommended. Some questions should remain unanswered. Tovik sent the report and stared at his screen for a long time, in the distance. He could hear human soldiers singing as they resumed their march. The song was about going home, about seeing loved ones again. It was strangely beautiful. Tovik wondered how creatures capable of such violence could also create such beauty. He suspected he would never understand. He also suspected he did not want to. Some things were better left as mysteries. Kira had been a Morvith intelligence analyst for 15 years before she defected to the Galactic Union. She had processed thousands of battle reports, war crimes, documentation, and strategic assessments. Nothing had prepared her for the file that now sat on her desk. The label read, New Busan Incident Classification. Absolute. She opened it anyway. The Morvith Collective had attacked the human colony world of New Busan 6 months ago. The assault force numbered 8,000 soldiers, supported by heavy armor and orbital bombardment. Standard Morvith doctrine predicted a 6-month campaign to secure the planet. The battle lasted 11 hours. Kira read the survivor reports, and her blood turned cold. They came from the shadows. One soldier had written before dying of his wounds. We had secured the command center. All entrances were guarded. Then the lights went out. Then they came back on. Half my squad was dead. I never saw who killed them. Another report described a human who moved through a fortified position, like smoke through fingers. He killed 12 of us with a knife. A knife. We had plasma rifles. It did not matter. The most disturbing report came from a Morvith commander who had survived by hiding under the bodies of his own soldiers. They were not like the humans we fought before. Those humans were fierce, yes, but they were soldiers. These ones were something else. They did not fight like they wanted to win. They fought like they enjoyed it. One of them smiled at me as he killed my lieutenant. Smiled, the commander. Had been found 3 days after the battle, wandering in circles and repeating the same words over and over. They came from nowhere. They were smiling. Kira closed the file and stared at her wall. She had studied human regular forces. They were terrifying enough. But this was different. This was something that existed in darkness, something that even other humans seemed reluctant to discuss. She needed more information. The joint training facility on Hela 3 hosted military units from 12 species. Captain Yuna of the human forces had been assigned there for cultural exchange. Kira requested a meeting. Yuna was a tall woman with short black hair and calm eyes. She commanded a company of regular infantry, soldiers who trained alongside Halari and Ven units. Even these baseline humans made the other species nervous. Analyst Kira Yuna said as they sat in a quiet observation room. Your request mentioned research into human military structure. Yes, Kira chose her words carefully. I am trying to understand an incident. The attack on New Busan. Something flickered in Yuna's eyes, just for a moment, then it was gone. That was a defensive action. The colony was saved. In 11 hours? Against 8,000 Morvith? Morvith made tactical errors. Captain, please. Kira leaned forward. I am not your enemy. I defected because I saw what the collective truly was. I want to understand what happened, not to use it against your people. Yuna was silent for a long moment. Outside the window, her soldiers were running combat drills with Hellary forces. The humans moved faster, hit harder, recovered quicker, and these were the regular ones. What do you want to know? Yuna finally asked. The survivors described soldiers who were different from standard human forces, soldiers who moved like ghosts, who killed without sound. Kira paused, who smiled while doing it. Yuna's expression did not change. Every species has elite units. Not like this. I have studied elite forces from 40 different races. None of them inspire the kind of fear I read in those reports. Kira pulled out her tablet and showed Yuna the commander's testimony. This soldier hid under corpses for 3 days. He is a decorated Morvith warrior with 60 confirmed kills. When rescue teams found him, he was crying. Yuna read the report. Her face remained perfectly neutral. Captain, please? What did we encounter on New Busan? For a long time, Yuna said nothing. Then she stood and walked to the window. Below, a Halari soldier stumbled during a sparring session with a human private. The private helped him up gently, even apologizing for hitting too hard. You have met our regular forces, Yuna said quietly. You have trained with them. You have seen what they can do. Yes, and they frighten you. Kira hesitated, then nodded. They do. Yuna turned to face her. Good, they should. Our regulars are trained to fight and win. They are the wall between our people and those who would harm them. She paused. But sometimes walls are not enough. What do you mean? Sometimes there are problems that regular soldiers cannot solve. Enemies who hide in places armies cannot reach. Threats that require a different kind of response. Yuna's voice dropped lower. When those problems arise, we call someone else. Who? Yuna smiled, but there was no warmth in it. You have met our regulars, Analyst Kira. The people you are asking about are the ones we call when we cannot handle something ourselves. The weight of those words settled over Kira like a heavy blanket. How many of them are there? I do not know. I have never met one personally. Most regular soldiers never do. Yuna returned to her seat. They exist in the spaces between official records. They do jobs that no one talks about. And when they are finished, they disappear. That is not an answer. No, Yuna agreed. It is not. Because the real answer is classified beyond anything I have access to. All I know is what everyone knows. They exist. They are very good at what they do, and we are very glad they are on our side. Kira gathered her things to leave. At the door, she turned back. One more question. The survivor said they were smiling. Why would they smile? Yuna considered the question. I asked a similar question once to an officer who claimed to have worked with them. He told me something I have never forgotten. What did he say? He said that regular soldiers fight because they have to, so those other ones. Yuna's eyes met Kira's. They fight because they want to, because something in them needs it. And they smile because for them, combat is not horror. Then what is it? Home. Kira left the facility with more questions than answers. But one thing had become clear. The galaxy had been afraid of humanity's regular forces. They should have been afraid of what waited behind them. The Pale Hand took Vora Prime on a Tuesday. 40,000 hostages spread across 6 levels of the massive trading station. 300 armed extremists guarding every exit. Bombs planted in locations that would kill thousands if triggered. The Galactic Union Council debated rescue options while bodies dropped one by one. Ambassador. Mireille watched the execution of a Halari merchant from her cell. The Pale Hand soldiers laughed as they broadcast the killing to the station's screens. They wanted fear. They wanted despair. They had no idea what was coming. Major Jinho received his orders at midnight. His regular infantry battalion would deploy as a security cordon around Vora Prime. The official story was diplomatic pressure. The real mission was different. "We are the distraction," Jinho told his officers. "Our job is to look threatening while someone else does the actual work." "Who?" his executive officer asked. Jinho shook his head. "I don't know. I wasn't told. But I was told to be ready to breach on a signal. When it comes, we hit hard and fast." 400 kilometers away, a small transport ship drifted toward an abandoned maintenance port. Inside sat 12 humans in black uniforms with no markings. Master Sergeant Yunbai checked her weapon for the 4th time. She was a small woman with scars on her hands and ice in her eyes. She'd been doing this work for 11 years. Vor Prime was her 42nd operation. Entry point in 5 minutes, her communications specialist reported. Eun-Bai looked at her team. Specialist Wu Jin handled demolitions. He could make a bomb from garbage or disable one with his eyes closed. Staff Sergeant Nari was their infiltration expert. She could slip through security systems like water through sand. The others were equally skilled, equally deadly, equally calm. "Rules of engagement," Yunbai said quietly. "No survivors among hostiles. No witnesses to our presence. We clear the leadership, disable the bombs, and open the doors for the regulars." Questions? There were none. There never were. The maintenance port was old and forgotten. Nari bypassed the locks in 30 seconds. The team moved into the station's guts, crawling through vents and tunnels that appeared on no official maps. Eun-Bai had memorized every meter of Voroprime's layout. She knew where the hostages were held. She knew where the bombs were planted. She knew where the Pale Hand leader sat, feeling safe and powerful. He was wrong about both. The first bomb was in a water recycling center. 2 guards watched over it, bored and careless. Wu Jin approached from above, while Nari approached from below. The guards died without making a sound. Wu Jin disabled the bomb in 90 seconds. 1 down. Yunbai reported through her secure channel. Moving to target 2, they cleared 4 bombs in 20 minutes. Each time, guards died in silence. Each time, the bodies were hidden before anyone noticed. The Pale Hand's communication network remained quiet. No alarms. No warnings. Ambassador Mireille sat in her cell, waiting to die. She had made peace with it. She had written goodbye letters in her mind to her family, her friends, her colleagues. She hoped her death would have meaning. Then she saw something impossible. A shadow moved on the ceiling of the cell block. It dropped behind a Pale Hand guard, and then the guard was falling with a knife in his throat. The shadow caught the body before it hit the ground and lowered it gently, silently. More shadows followed. 3 guards died in 3 seconds. Not a single shot fired. Not a single alarm triggered. A face appeared at Mireille's cell door. A woman with cold eyes and blood on her hands. She pressed a finger to her lips, then pointed down the corridor. "Stay here," she whispered. "Count to 1,000. Then run toward the main concourse. Regular forces will meet you there. Who are you?" The woman smiled. It was not a comforting smile. Nobody important. Then she was gone, vanished into the darkness like she had never existed. The Pale Hand leader was named Torvik. He sat in the command center, watching feeds from across the station. He felt untouchable. His demands would be met. The Union was weak. Humanity was new to galactic politics and would not risk war. He was still thinking this when the lights went out. "What happened?" he shouted. "Get the power back on." His guards scrambled in the darkness. Someone screamed, then someone else. Then silence. When the emergency lights flickered on, Torvik found himself alone. 8 guards lay dead around him, killed by methods he could not identify. Standing before him was a small human woman with a knife in one hand and something that looked like a smile on her face. "Hello, Torvik," Yunbai said. "We need to talk about your surrender." "I have bombs." I will kill everyone. No, you won't. She stepped closer. My team disabled them 30 minutes ago. Your soldiers are dying as we speak. And in about 2 minutes, 400 human regulars are going to breach this station from 6 different points. Torvik's face went pale. That's impossible. We had guards everywhere. You did. Yunbai's smile widened. Past tense. The breach signal went out at exactly 0300 hours. Major Jinho led the assault personally, his soldiers flowing through the station like a violent tide. They met almost no resistance. The pale hand fighters were either dead already or running in panic. Their communications jammed. Their leaders gone. The operation took 47 minutes from first shot to final surrender. 200 pale hand soldiers eliminated. 0 human casualties. Ambassador Mirai was found sitting exactly where Yunbai had left her, counting silently. When the regular soldiers reached her, she burst into tears of relief. I saw them, she told Jinho later. The ones who saved us. They moved like ghosts. They killed like machines, but they were human. What did they look like? Mirai shook her head. I only saw one clearly. A woman. She had the coldest eyes I have ever seen. She paused, but when she told me I would be safe, I believed her. I believed her completely. Jinho nodded slowly. He had heard similar stories before. You saw something most people never see, Ambassador. What are they? They are the reason we sleep at night, Jinho said quietly. They are the monsters that hunt other monsters, and they are ours. The news feeds called it a triumph of human military precision. They praised the regular forces for their swift action. They knew nothing about the 12 shadows who made it possible. That was exactly how it was supposed to be. The Galactic Union High Council chamber was built to intimidate. 11 seats arranged in a half-circle, each representing a major power in known space. The ceiling rose so high, it disappeared into darkness. The walls displayed the flags of 100-member species. General Sungmin walked to the speaker's platform alone. She wore her dress uniform, medals arranged in precise rows across her chest. Her gray hair was pulled back tight, and her eyes showed no fear. She was here to answer questions humanity had avoided for decades. General Sungmin, the Halari representative, began. He was older now, his scales faded with age. Tovik had risen far since his days as an observer on Varith 6. Thank you for appearing before this council. I serve at the pleasure of the Union. Sungmin replied calmly. Then perhaps you can explain what happened on Vora Prime. Tovik's voice was polite but firm. Our intelligence suggests that your regular forces alone could not have achieved such results. We believe additional assets were deployed. Assets that you have never officially acknowledged. The chamber fell silent. Every representative leaned forward. Sungmin nodded slowly. You are correct, Ambassador. Additional personnel were involved in the Vora Prime operation. What personnel? Specialized soldiers. We call them special forces, though they have many names depending on their specific roles and missions. A Morvith, representative interrupted. We have heard rumors of these soldiers for years. Our survivors from New Busan spoke of humans who moved like shadows, who killed without mercy, who seemed to enjoy violence. I am aware of those reports, Sungmin said. Then explain. What are these soldiers? How many exist? What are their capabilities? Sungmin clasped her hands behind her back. Before I answer, I need this council to understand something about humanity, something fundamental to who we are. She pressed a button, and images appeared on the chamber's main screen. They showed ancient Earth, primitive humans hunting across vast plains. Our species evolved as persistence predators. We did not have claws like the Morvith. We did not have armor like the Halari. We did not have speed like the Ven. What we had was endurance, adaptability, and will. The images shifted to show humans in various extreme environments: deserts, frozen wastelands, dense jungles, ocean depths. We survived by outlasting our prey, by refusing to stop when logic said we should, by pushing our bodies and minds past limits that should have killed us. Sungmin paused. This trait persists in modern humans. Our regular soldiers are trained to ignore pain, suppress fear, continue fighting long after other species would surrender. We have seen this, Tovik acknowledged. Your regulars are formidable, yes, but they are still bound by normal human limits. They can push those limits further than most, but the limits exist. Seungmin's expression hardened. For some humans, however, those limits seem not to apply at all. The screen changed again. It showed psychological test results, genetic markers, training records. Approximately 1 in 10,000 humans possesses a specific combination of traits: exceptional stress tolerance, reduced fear response, enhanced pattern recognition, unusual pain thresholds. These individuals are identified early and offered the opportunity to serve in specialized programs. What programs? The Venn representative asked. Programs that have existed since before we reached space. Programs that take natural human aggression and shape it into something precise. Something controlled. Seungmin met the Ven's eyes. Something lethal. You create killers. No. Seungmin shook her head firmly. We do not create them. They already exist. They are born with these traits. What we do is give them purpose, direction, rules. The screen showed a single figure. A man in dark clothing, face obscured, moving through a hostile environment. The footage was grainy, clearly captured from a distance. This is an operative we called Jay. 6 years ago, was inserted behind enemy lines during a conflict I am not authorized to name. His mission was reconnaissance. His team was killed in the first hour. Footage continued. Jay moving alone through enemy territory, avoiding patrols, gathering intelligence. Jay spent 6 days alone in hostile territory. He completed his reconnaissance mission. He identified 3 enemy command posts. He sabotaged their communications network. Seungmin's voice was quiet but proud. And when he finally extracted, he was carrying 2 wounded civilians he found hiding in a destroyed building. He survived 6 days alone. A Halari council member asked. He did more than survive. He thrived. When he reached friendly lines, his commanding officer asked him how he managed it. Do you know what he said? The council waited, said I was not alone. I had purpose. That is what our special forces are. They are humans who have found their purpose in protecting others. They do terrible things so that regular soldiers do not have to. They go to dark places so that civilians can sleep safely. Tovik spoke carefully. General, the reports from New Busan describe soldiers who smiled while killing, who seemed to enjoy violence. How does that fit with purpose and protection? Seungmin was silent for a long moment. Then she nodded. I will not lie to this council. Our special forces are not normal humans. They cannot be. Normal humans cannot do what they do. The traits that make them effective also make them different. She chose her words carefully. They do not experience combat the way others do. For them, it is not horror. It is clarity, focus, peace, peace. The Morvith representative sounded disgusted. They find peace in killing. They find peace in using their abilities fully, in being exactly what they were born to be. Seungmin's voice hardened. You may judge them if you wish, but remember, they are the reason the Pale Hand no longer exists. They are the reason New Busan still has colonists. They are the shield that stands between your worlds and the things that hunt in darkness. The chamber fell into uncomfortable silence. Finally, Tovik spoke. What do you want from this council, General? Understanding. And an agreement. Seungmin straightened. Our special forces have never been deployed against Union species. They never will be, unless Union species threaten human populations. In exchange, we ask that the Union stops asking questions. Accept that we have these capabilities. Accept that they exist to protect, not to conquer. And accept that some secrets are better left unknown. The council members exchanged glances. The Halari whispered to the Ven. The Morvith sat alone, still processing the testimony. And if we do not accept? Tovik asked. Seungmin smiled. It was a small smile, almost sad. Then You will spend your nights wondering where they are, what they are doing, whether they are watching you." She shrugged. "I recommend acceptance. It is much better for sleep." The vote was unanimous. No more questions would be asked. No more investigations would be conducted. Some doors once opened cannot be closed. The galaxy had chosen to leave this one shut. They came from the void between galaxies. The Galactic Union had no name for them, only fear. Scientists called them an anomaly. Soldiers called them death. The survivors simply called them the Hollow. 3 Union worlds fell in the first month. Not conquered, consumed. The Hollow did not want territory or resources. They wanted to feed, and everything that lived was food. Heron 7 was next. The Union Council declared the planet lost. Evacuation orders went out. Military forces pulled back to defensible positions. Everyone agreed that nothing could stop the Hollow advance. Humanity disagreed. Colonel Taewoo stood on the transport deck, watching his soldiers prepare for deployment. 12 years had passed since his days as a lieutenant on Vareth 6. His hair had gray in it now. His face carried new scars. But his eyes held the same determination. "Volunteers only," he reminded his officers. "Make sure everyone understands. This is not a normal mission." Sergeant Suben appeared at his side. She was older too, her shoulder still marked by the plasma scar from that long-ago ambush. She had turned down promotion twice, preferring to stay with the soldiers she considered family. "Everyone volunteered, sir," she said. "Every single one. Of course they did." Taewoo almost smiled. "We are human. Running toward danger is what we do." 10,000 regular soldiers boarded transports for Heron 7. They knew the odds. They knew the danger. They went anyway, but this time they were not alone. Master Sergeant Yoon briefed her expanded team in a separate hangar. 40 Special Forces operators, hand-picked from units across human space. The largest deployment of their kind in history. "The Hollow have a command structure," she explained, pointing to holographic images of the alien creatures. "They are not mindless. Someone or something directs them. Our mission is to find that command element and eliminate it." "Rules of engagement?" Wu Jin asked. He was grayer now, but his hands were still steady. "None." Yunbai's voice was cold. "Kill everything that is not human. No prisoners, no mercy. These things want to eat our species. We are going to teach them that humans are not food." Nari studied the holograms. "The command entity is estimated to be massive, building-sized. How do we kill something that big?" Yunbai held up a small device. "Plasma charges. Lots of them. We go inside if we have to." She looked around the room. "Questions?" A young operator raised her hand. "Sergeant, is it true the regulars have never seen us operate?" "Most have not. This will be their first time fighting alongside Special Forces openly." Yunbai paused. "Try not to scare them too much." Quiet laughter rippled through the room. The battle for Heron 7 began at dawn. The Hollow came in waves. Thousands of creatures ranging from dog-sized scouts to massive warriors taller than buildings. They moved with terrible coordination, their attacks probing for weakness, exploiting gaps. Taewoo's regulars held the line. They fought with stubborn, grinding determination. When soldiers fell, others stepped forward to fill the gaps. When positions were overrun, counterattacks pushed the Hollow back. They died by the dozens, but they did not break. Subin led her squad against a Hollow flanking force. Plasma burned around her as she advanced, firing steadily. A creature lunged at her, and she killed it with her combat knife before it could strike. Blood covered her armor, some of it her own. "Keep moving," she shouted. "Don't give them time to think." The battle raged for hours. Then night fell, and the Special Forces went to work. EU and B's team moved through Hollow-controlled territory like shadows made flesh. They gathered intelligence, identified weakness, and killed everything in their path. Regular soldiers watched in amazement as black-clad figures appeared from nowhere, struck with impossible precision and vanished before the enemy could respond. "What are they?" A young private asked Subin. "It's the best we have," she replied. Don't stare. Just be grateful they're on our side. On the second day, Yunbei located the command entity. It sat in a massive pit at the center of the hollow formation, a creature of nightmare and shadow. It was larger than any building, its body a mass of tentacles and mouths and eyes that seemed to see everything. That's our target, Yunbei said calmly. Wujin, how many charges do we have? All of them. Still might not be enough. Then we go inside and make sure. The assault began at midnight. While Taewu's regulars launched a massive diversionary attack, Yunbei's team infiltrated the pit. They killed hollow guards with silent efficiency, moving ever closer to the command entity. The creature sensed them. Its massive head turned, countless eyes focusing on the tiny humans approaching. It screamed. The sound shattered stone and broke minds. 3 operators fell, clutching their heads. The others pressed forward. Move, Yunbei ordered. Don't stop for anything. Nari led the first group, planting charges along the creature's lower body. Wu Jin directed the second group toward what looked like vital organs. Yunbei herself climbed higher, toward the head. The command entity thrashed, trying to crush the humans crawling on its body. Tentacles whipped through the air. Mouths opened and closed. But the special forces were too fast, too skilled, too determined. Yun-by reached the head. She found a gap in the creature's armor, a space between plates that led to something soft beneath. She pushed herself inside. Darkness surrounded her. The stench was overwhelming. She could feel the creature's heartbeat, slow and massive. Echoing through its body, she placed her last plasma charges around what she hoped was a vital organ. She armed them. She had 30 seconds. Climbing back out took 25. The explosion lit up the night sky. The command entity screamed again, but this time in agony. Its body convulsed, collapsed, and fell still. Across the battlefield, the hollow stopped. Without their directing intelligence, they became confused, disorganized. Easy targets. The regular forces swept forward, crushing the remaining creatures with brutal efficiency. By dawn of the third day, Heron 7 was secure. Ambassador Talvik watched the aftermath from orbit. He was old now, his scales faded to near white. He had spent his career studying humanity. He thought he understood them. He had been wrong. He began recording his final report. I have watched humanity for decades. I saw their regulars fight and thought I understood fear. I was mistaken. On the surface below, surviving soldiers gathered to count their dead. Special Forces operators moved among them, no longer hiding in shadows. Regular soldiers stared with a mixture of fear and respect. Their regulars are what humans become when they must fight, Tovik continued. They are walls of flesh and will, standing against whatever threatens their people. The galaxy learned to dread them, and rightly so. Yunbei sat alone, cleaning her combat knife. Her body was bruised and burned. 3 of her operators had died in the pit, but the mission was complete. It was always complete. Her special forces are something else entirely. They are what humans become when they choose to fight. When they embrace the darkness inside themselves and use it to protect others, they are monsters, yes. But they are humanity's monsters. Subin approached Yunbei carefully. The sergeant had fought alongside special forces for 3 days. She had seen things that would haunt her dreams forever. Sergeant Yunbei, she said quietly. I have a question. Yunbei looked up. Her eyes were tired but calm. Ask, what was it like, killing that thing? It was like a god. Wei Wenbai considered the question. She remembered the darkness inside the creature, the smell, the fear, and beneath all of it, the cold clarity that had guided her hands. Easier than training, she said. Subin laughed despite herself. You're insane, probably. Yunbei smiled, and for just a moment she looked almost human. But I'm useful. Tavik finished his report with words that would become legendary throughout the Union. The galaxy dreaded humanity's regulars. We should have been praying we never needed their elites. Today we did. And they answered, I do not know if we should be grateful or terrified. He paused. watching human transports begin their journey home. Perhaps both. Far below, soldiers sang as they buried their dead. The song was old, about warriors going home after battle. It spoke of sacrifice, of duty, of love. Eun-by listened in silence. She did not sing. She had forgotten how. But she remembered why she fought. Why all of them fought, so that others could sing, so that others could sleep safely, so that the darkness would always have someone willing to face it. Humanity had proven something on Heron 7. Not just that they could fight. Not just that they could win, they had proven that when the universe sent its horrors against them. They would send horrors right back, and humanity's horrors were very, very good at their job.